So hello everyone. My name is Yu Feng. So I'm from the now I'm working at the University of Applied Science Mainz, Hochschule Mainz, and previously it's the project I begins so at the Technical University of Munich. So the story begins with Aloy, a discussion with Alois. Alois is also in the round of today's online meeting. So he showed me this nice book. So, which is a folder with a lot of file, which is quite interesting. So that's make us these ideas to create this project. So, which named the PhenoMapping, which we want to create a participatory visual tool for curation and verification of historical phenological data. So, what is phenology? So because it's a term for me, it's quite difficult to understand at the very beginning. So after this project, I get to know it's the study of periodic biological events in nature. So it could be used as a biological indicator for climate change and helps to let us know how the seasons growing or the species behave. And for example, they annotated the annotated data like beginning of the leaf unfolding, flowering beginning or until the leaf falls. So which could be a very important data source. It has been used in many disciplines like agriculture, earth system science, climate science. So as this data is very precious and also what are the main data provider in Germany is the DWD, so the German Weather Service. They collect the data from 1951, so after the Second World War, and for example, this is an image of the apple. So when apple begins, the flower begins flowering, but we know not much about the ages before the time. So because people has also tried to collect all they can get for the data, so to create a database named the PPODB, so which is also a product has been hosted now from the Humboldt University, but there are no data for us currently available or we can get access to before 1880. So that's why it plays our project. So in ancient time, like in 1853, the state Bavaria has already begins to try to collect such kind of data. They name it like the development of vegetation. So that's why we got this data from the Upper Palatine, so Oberpfalz in German, so which collected by the Chamber of Finance, and which is only 1 year of data which has been collected in this book. So it contains 68 questionnaire per forest district. So you see this is a map of the forest district at that time. So you see in the center is the Forstamt, the forest Amt, and the other is some smaller forest observatory. So it includes 30 separate development stages of the phenological period, and for each piece questionnaire, it has 3 to 30 pieces. And in total, we have get around 6,800 single observations from this book. So let me a little bit explain how this book structure looks like. So first is the cover page with some cover information, and the others are just grouped in like 3 to 5 pages group. So which start with a cover page, a table, and appendix. So for the first one, it's just let us know, okay, it's a folder of the Oberpfalz and Regensburg, and from the year 1855. And also for each group, so the cover page has been mentioned in which year, and also where it is about. So like it's like Kasta, so which and Reserve Forster Wiesner. So these are the location we can make use to create the location of the data. And secondly is the table. The table just describes this. This has the column in total is 14 column, and it's only 13 has the date information, like the May of 22nd. It begins all so all the flower has been blurted. And also for each row, they are just the species of the vegetation, and both in Latin and German. And also they have some kind of a little bit precise location, but it's somehow not very much useful for us because it's some just like where I find this flower, so which can be arbitrary in a forest. And last page is like contents table, so which just describe all these are the tables the forest personnel should be go and observe, and in often the case they only observe 3 or 5 of them. So this is all the best at that time. So then the others are the same. So then we just begin with the annotation process because we also try to use large language model at that time. It's just terrible because they are just not correct at all. So that's why we hired 2 students from the history department because they have been trained in their courses with recognizing such kind of old style writing German text. So they just begin the annotation for the half of the total pages, and then just try to make a consensus meeting to check, okay, the other part. So because they annotated the half, and the other people will just check the other half, and they just make a meeting to make agreement. And we also have expert review, which has been done by Alois and the colleague from Bavaria archive. And so we also have some cases which are not that easily solved. For example, for this part, you have to recognize a location name, which is quite hard, but it's not often appeared for the tabular data, because for the tabular data is somehow easy to recognize. Only this kind of texture extended information, they are quite difficult even for the expert to recognize them. And this is so with this data, we have tried to build a platform. So we have tried to combine the data from the archive, so 18,055, 56, with the current DWD data. So I can just briefly show you what it looks like. So it just looks like this. We have tried to host it on the Amazon AWS. And so you can see, you can just have a look of the overview. So these are the map. On the background are the DWD data has been archived by online community, community, and these are the areas where we have the data from archive. For example, you can just click on it to see each observation. And what is more interesting is like we can see for example, the map of the data, the spatial distribution, information about individual station, and what's more, we can see the timeline of the data. For example, individual station, you can choose, you can just select the species and also try to see, okay, what are the, for example, begins of flowering. So you just get a plot out of it and see, okay, this is the single station data or multiple station data. And what is more interesting is to make a compare about what are the ancient time and the current time. And for example, if we choose this new archive data column, then you can see, okay, for example, I choose Kommenhase. Then you can wait a second, you can see what are the available data of the time. So for our archive data, we have more stages has been recorded than current DWD data. And these are the availability for the years we have. And we can also make a simple comparison. For example, the beginning of the flowering, we can just say do analysis. You can observe that the time is quite late, but now in the time, the beginning of flowering is quite early, which you can directly see for individual species. So to check one by one. So I think what's more interesting is about the distribution. So because at the current time, we only have this folder of data, but more interesting is to see what are the missing data, because spatially we're missing all the rest of Germany, and we can also see a grid to see, okay, these are the grids where the data has already existed for each year, and what we currently contribute is only this red dot with 7,000 pieces of observation of the time. And lastly, I want to show you is a transcriptor. So we also want it to be like a crowdsourcing or voluntary geoinformation system that individual can also contribute. So for example, if you see the cover page, you can directly have a dual panel. It's a little bit large, it has to be loaded. And for example, for individual table, you can also look at it. So these are the individual table. You can also directly make transcription on that. So we currently close it because we don't want to ruin our data, so that we only allow you to add some annotations. Because if everybody can add it or change it, so that is quite a problem. So these are the current what we have. And maybe I come back to my slides. Okay, these are just some screenshot. So what I want to say for my last words is a summary. So in this project, we have successfully achieved the full transcription of the bronze 7,000 observations, and also provide platform for data visualization, analysis, and also transcription, and also identify the data gaps using for spatial grid network framework. And currently the data of the scans has already been published by the DFG viewer, and the transcription we are aiming about a third round check by expert with some AI algorithm. So that's why we delayed a little bit publishing the transcription. But if you are interested, you can already open the link to have a look on it. And my last page is Outlook. So currently we have tried to get the data, but if we want to get some research, generate some research output from the data, we're still missing the biological domain expertise. So that's why we are also searching currently for cooperation, but I get some feedback is like the area is too small, and only the difficulties, we have only 1 year. But we also noticed that, for example, for the Hainan Pafat, so this the library, I can also find several such kind of Beobachtungsüber Entwicklung vegetation in different years. So this could be an indication that there are still more data available in the libraries, so which can be future make use of. And we see the generative AI show some limited performance last year, but we are not yet sure whether it's being improved much more this year. But still, I would believe that it's similar to the OpenStreetMap. Human verification remains essential. So, like, we could consider how could we create some incentive mechanism to get support from expert or historian that has such kind of expertise, even make it like maybe I also heard that a student's grandma can also recognize it very well. So in such kind of case, we can motivate more people to contribute to the science community. So that's kind of my wish. So that's all my talk. Thank you very much for your attention. Yeah.